Hey there, this is Sarah Michelle Brown, your virtual video director here, and today I'm really excited because I'm launching what I call the Express Yourself interview series for entrepreneurs. And today I'm really excited because I have with me a really amazing, crazy, great entrepreneur who is a self-proclaimed word nerd, and her name is Nikki Elledge Brown, the communication stylist. And let me tell you, Nikki, I'm such a huge fan of yours, so welcome to the interview series.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you. Now, I want people to really understand why I'm such a nerd about you, because, and I know I'm not alone in this, but I'm really such a fan of the work that you've been doing this past year. So I wonder if you could introduce yourself to everybody and tell them a little bit about what you do.
Yes. So, hi, I'm Nikki, Nikki Elledge Brown. And my background is in communication studies, so literally the social science of communication, how and why we communicate the way we do. So I've got a bachelor's and a master's in that. I taught it at the college level part-time for 7 years before I felt a divine calling to actually share my gifts and talents for connecting and storytelling and communicating with the world in a bigger way. Because this time last year, I chose a word of the year instead of a resolution, and that was faith. And when I tuned in, I started to realize, like, hello, for the entire, to that point, almost 28 years of my life, this has been my thing. You know, like, people have asked, how would you say this? Can you look over my resume? How do you spell that word? Like, it's just been what comes naturally to me. And I was able to, you know, benefit in the small ponds that I've been playing in, whether it was high school or college or at my different jobs and whatever. But I felt like, no, this is really something I'm supposed to share with other people and help other people become more confident communicators, because I realize, painfully so, that a lot of people, this is like not their zone. And so I feel like I'm called to share it. So I started this business out of purpose. It wasn't like, I want to start a business. What am I going to do? It was like, how do I channel this? Like, how am I supposed to share it? A book, a blog, a business. Now I realize it's all of those things.
That's a great realization to have.
Yeah, but this time last year I was like, I don't know, am I supposed to write a book? Is it supposed to be a different blog? Like, what is it supposed to be? Because I was writing a fun personal blog called Stories from a Screensaver. And again, now I realize, like, yes, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write multiple books. And it doesn't feel like I want to, and I'm speaking it into being. It's like, no, I'm going to, so it's just a matter of time and whenever the story bubbles up, you know, or whenever the right stuff. Yeah. And so I knew I couldn't hide from it anymore, and it felt like an inevitability, like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. This isn't like for fun, you know, for kicks. Yeah. And so that's really exciting, and I think that's part of what, not part, I feel like that's what has driven this whole thing, because I'm just doing what I feel like God created me to do. And then things got crazy. I did some free sessions to make sure that someone besides college students or college students' parents would pay for help with communication. Did the free sessions. Literally after the first call, she was like, so how can I pay you? And I was like, I don't know. I don't even have a PayPal account set up. Like, I was freaking out because I was like, I don't know. How do I do this? Yeah.
And so for people who don't know what you do, what did these free sessions look like? What did you do in these sessions?
Yes. And I called them Bright Start sessions because I love bright. And I was going to, like, my tagline was going to be, say it brightly, because I just think that's such a lovely term. It's such a lovely compliment for people to say you're bright. It's like smart, articulate, but also positive and whatever. And I wanted to help people communicate better. So whether it was like a tagline or blog post ideas or just getting clear on what they do and how they say what they do, communicating in social media, like literally if it has to do with words and people, I can help. And so that's kind of what I did. I offered these 30-minute sessions, and people would say, you know, I'm kind of stuck. I don't know how to say this. And they would just kind of word vomit and tell me, here's everything that I think. And then I'm like, okay, so ask a few questions, and then we would refine it and style their message to where it really represents the best of who they are and what they have to offer, so that the people who need it can figure it out and realize, oh yeah, I need that, you know? So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. And, you know, it's no secret between you and I have been one of your clients a couple of times. And wow, it was, you know, it was a funny thing, because in the community, I kept hearing your name come up, and I have kept hearing people say, oh my gosh, she's cat's meow, like, she's amazing, you have to work with her, she changed my life. And I'm like, what? Who is this Oprah person coming up in here? You know, you know. So, you know, I hired you, and wow, it was absolutely fabulous.
So fun, and that's the thing. It's so fun. That's why I call y'all my dream clients, because it's like, considering it's basically a one-sided blind date, because over 160 people in my first 8 months of business signed up, paid hundreds of dollars before ever meeting me.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. I mean, it's crazy, but that's what happens when you put yourself out there in a smart, authentic way. People know who you are, and they say, yes, I want that.
Yeah.
So whenever you hang out and whenever you actually get to work together, it's a lot of fun. And everybody can have that. I sincerely believe everybody can have that if you just show up as you really are, the best of who you really are.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because I hear time and time again from people that they feel like they can't write. And, you know, that's the number one thing, because I'm also, I'm a writer and director and actor, and so I have my journey in that field, but I love writing, and, you know, I hear that time and time again of people saying, I can't do it, like, you know, and they have their reasons why, they're, you know, dyslexic and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, hey, I have mild dyslexia, and I know novelists who have severe dyslexia. And it's like, to me, that type of thing is just an advantage, because you see words differently. You see, you'll approach them in a different way. So I wonder, for you, as far as people who are afraid to express themselves with words, what advice do you have for them right now?
I would say, even a year ago, I wouldn't say I'm a writer, you know, and here I am, people saying like, yeah, you're a writer and you're a good writer. Like, what? And I remember around this time last year, I was just discovering this whole world of online business and everything. And I came across Jeff Goins of goinswriter.com. And he has like it's either a blog post or a manifesto or something called You Are a Writer. And it's like, someone told him once upon a time, like, you are. When you say you are, you know, I'm a writer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, let me add that to my LinkedIn profile. I'm a writer. I'm a writer. But, and that's the thing, like, whenever people say that, because people say that a lot, like, oh, I'm just not good at writing. I'm like, well, you're good at speaking. Like, you're cool right now when you're talking to me. Yeah. So I think you just have to get rid of the block that keeps you from thinking they're two different things. Because I really am very passionate about the idea that your writing and your speaking should be synchronized, because you should feel so confident being exactly who you are in every situation that, like, they are the same. So that's why when people meet me, before I did video, because I didn't do video for a while, like for the first few months, I was just writing. Yeah. And when I did video, people were like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I thought you sounded like in my head, you know? Yeah. And I go back to this story because I studied abroad in Chile. I have a minor in Spanish. In 2005, I studied abroad, and I was writing an email every week. I would send one email home with like a bunch of funny stories for my family and friends. Yeah. And I will always remember one time my sister Jenny sent me an email back that was like, I feel like you're just right here. I can hear you, you know, when I'm reading. And I thought, what a lovely thing. And again, that was however many, 9 years ago. Yeah. And I was never thinking about writing. Well, maybe I was thinking about writing a book, but I had never really considered myself a writer. But that stuck in my brain, because I feel like that's the best compliment, when someone's like, I can hear you through your writing. And that's why my big thing is like conversational copy, and help them hear you before they hire you, because you can. There are ways that you can write and style your words to where you can help people hear you, even though they're just reading the words on the page. Yeah. And it's worthwhile, you know, it's worth the effort.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say, you know, that when people say I can't write, and you're like, well, you're talking, you can talk, and you know, you can express yourself. And, you know, it's definitely a similar thing with on-camera stuff for people. Like, you know, oftentimes people get on and they're like a deer caught in the headlights, and they become like a different version of themselves. And it's, you know, so working with people with video, it's all about breaking down those barriers. Totally. And so just so that people can actually be themselves, because that's, you know, the best way to go. You can't be somebody else, because it really shows. Right. You know? So.
And you feel weird, and you know it. Like, you're sitting there, whether you're on video and you're talking like a robot, or in a monologue or whatever, or whether you're sitting here at your laptop and you're like, what is going on? That sounds so awkward. That's not what I talk like. Yeah. I'm back in English class, or I'm like super markety exclamation points in red and bold, you know. And you're like, what? That is not what I communicate. That is not how I communicate. Yeah. So that's okay. That's not how you communicate, but just sync it up. Like, you can do it. Just shake it off, you know, and really just, you have to get rid of the feeling that you have to be something different in writing or in video or whatever. Like, it's all communication.
I heartily agree, my friend.
I know it.
So let me ask you, one thing that I find with, you know, my fellow artists, or, you know, people who are expressing themselves through their careers, that is their chosen vocation, is like, in some way, shape, or form, they are like, it's a form of self-expression. So let me ask you about what drove you, or what was the thing that brought you into a need to express yourself, or desire to express yourself?
I've been reflecting on it a lot over the past year, since this is my thing, you know, now. Not now, it always has been, but I've been kind of reflecting on the milestones that I can remember that got me to this point. And so the first one, and I know I've told you this story before, but the first one is whenever I was in, I'm pretty sure it was 4th grade. I thought it was 3rd, but it's 4th grade, spelling bee. I was representing my class, and I was so embarrassed. Like, you know, my cheeks turned pink really easily. Like, my cheeks were so pink up in front spelling that I decided I didn't want to win the spelling bee. And that's what I mean by word nerd. When I say word nerd, I don't necessarily mean like super fun vocabulary, colorful words. I just, words, stringing them together and spelling them right, that's my jam. So spelling was always my thing. And I'm such a nerd that I used to ask my parents, like, ask me how to spell something. Like, we're in the car, I'm that annoying, like, we're on a road trip, ask me how to spell something, anything, whatever. And my dad's in diesel truck sales, and so one time he told me Peterbilt, which is like a proper noun, Peterbilt, and it's B-I-L-T. So he knew that would trip me up. I was like, thanks, Dad, instead of B-U-I-L-T. Anyway, that's another one I will never forget. The one time I did misspell a word. Anyway, I threw the school spelling bee in 4th grade because I was so horrified at the idea of advancing to like the multiple school spelling bee. So I threw the word, and I got 3rd place, and I was like so relieved, because public speaking and being in front of everyone made me so nervous. I lied about presenting. I did a project on dreams, I think, and maybe it was also 4th grade. I was like a rebel without a cause, apparently, 4th grade. But I was supposed to present this special project to another class, and I didn't. But I said that I did, because I just was like, the nerves just overcame me to where I quit before I even gave it a try. And then eventually, somehow, I wound up in a public speaking class in 9th grade, and I loved it. It was a year-long class. We only needed a semester. And none of us realized that, or we probably would have all just taken the semester-long class. But it was such a random mix of people that from all different walks of life in school. Like, it was just such a fun, neat class to watch people evolve and to get really comfortable in your own skin. And I loved, like, getting rid of vocal fillers was amazing to me. Like, not saying and really being in command of every word as I was saying it. It felt so powerful to be like, I'm that intentional. I meant to say that word. I meant to have this gesture. I can focus on my delivery. I know exactly what I'm saying to you right now. That was all really empowering. So when I went to visit my college, TCU, I guess I checked a box for something that was probably, I think they called it speech communication at the time when I was a freshman or a visiting senior. But I checked that box, and then that became my degree plan by default, and I loved it, because when I started getting into the interpersonal stuff, like not just speaking, but interpersonal and organizational and intercultural, it was all so fascinating to me. And I found myself going home on spring break and Christmas break and telling all my friends, like, did you know there are 5 stages to a breakup? And like, you know, all of these things. It was like so interesting. I loved it. I couldn't get enough. And so,
and were your friends, were your friends staring at you like you were Charlie Brown's teacher? You know, like wah, 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 wah.
No, because it wasn't like it was physics. I mean, this is interesting stuff, you know, like it's actually interesting to think about how and why we communicate, and why is it that we go through this denial phase, and that, you always have somebody on the back burner. Like, there's all kinds of really juicy stuff in the study of communication. And so they liked it. It was fun. They would call me Dr. Red, because they called me Nikki Red in college. So they called me Dr. Red, like I was Dr. Phil, and like the relationship expert, because of the communication stuff. And so I just loved it. And so I graduated in 3 years. I was 20. They offered me a paid scholarship to stay, a teaching assistantship, and I said, heck yes, please. And I stayed and got my master's and taught it, and I love teaching it. Like I said, I was naturally teaching it, so it just felt like a logical next step to stick around. And then it's just kind of refined and manifested in different ways since then.
So that grade 9 class, that it sounds like it kind of changed your life. Was it because was it a safe environment and you felt like okay to be yourself and okay to fail, or what was it about that class?
I think it was like an equalizer, like I said, because there were people from all different groups, which was cool. And I got along with everybody in high school. I had a lot, I was the girl, again, nerdy, but really friendly too. And I thought it was just really neat to watch all these people who we were like, oh, shoot, we didn't know we had to be here for a year. Well, might as well make the best of it, and it's like, oh, look, she finally stopped stepping up on her toes when she was giving her speeches, and he finally got control of his arms, it was this kind of a bonding experience. And in that year, I was like, maybe I want to be a news anchor. So I called our local news anchor, and I started networking and trying to figure out, is that what I want to do? I just kind of had a feeling. Then I kind of let it die for a little while. I kind of did let it, but it was always there.
Well, it's funny, with the whole thing about self-expression and being, having communication being really important to you. Somebody asked me recently about, she goes, I don't understand something. And I said, what's that? She goes, I don't understand introverted actors. I don't get that. And she's a businesswoman. She's like, I don't understand how that happens. And I'm like, well, I think it comes down to just a desire to communicate, a desire to express yourself. And that's just how it comes out, I'm an introvert, and but I have a very, very strong desire to communicate. So while it, I brought my, as I brought up my stage play First Hand Woman to New York last year, and but it was a scary experience for me because I'm an introvert and I was putting myself out in the public eye, and I have to do that over and over and over again in the different things that I do. And it's absolutely terrifying for me, but I just have to, communicate with people. I have to express, and I have to be a part of the conversation, and it's just kind of how it goes. And you have to deal with, it's like that fear versus desire thing, how strong do you want it versus how much are you afraid of it?
Right. Totally. Yeah. And I would consider myself in large part introverted. I know it's more of a scale than a black or white kind of thing. Yeah. But I'm a total homebody, and I love to just be home. But at the same time, I realize if I spend too much time home, and I have my little guy, so it's not like I'm alone necessarily. He's great company. But I get into a funk really quickly and easily if I just stay inside, which it's so easy for me to do, and I'm in my pajama pants, 90% of the time. But I know that I get my energy from connecting and communicating with other people. It doesn't have to be a lot of people, but one-on-one. It's like, oh, yay, I get to talk to you today instead of just going straight into my work and feeling kind of like laptop Lucy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just say kudos. I think anybody who's watching this, if they're afraid of expressing themselves, afraid of judgment, or afraid of, putting themselves out there, being themselves in their in the way they communicate with their customers, know that you're not alone. That fear thing is not something exclusive to you, and it's just about working through it. And you can totally do that. For me, I had, this is an embarrassing confession, but I had some massive anxiety around when I brought my play to New York, because I was the writer, the producer, and I was one of the 5 lead actresses in it. And I had massive anxiety about possibly losing my lines in my own script in New York City, which is a dream come true. So I had this massive, and I was like, it was crazy. And it stemmed from literally a negative fantasy I had in my head that came from forgetting my lines in a school play that when I was 11 years old. Gosh. And we were touring the school, so we're going from classroom to classroom doing Sherlock Holmes, and I was playing Sherlock Holmes, and I had the hat and the pipe and all of that fun stuff. And we're in this class, and with all these grade 2 students, sitting on very quietly and patiently on the floor watching us play this Sherlock Holmes play, and I forgot my lines, and I super forgot my lines. I didn't just mildly forget them; I completely forgot them. And so it was this thing that at the time I actually loved putting myself out there. I loved performing. but like that whole thing just, it was so terrifying for me that could happen, because I didn't know that could happen. And I just went into my shell, and I went into my intellect, and I actually went into maths and sciences for a long time.
Isn't that crazy?
You know, like I put it's crazy. It is crazy, that fear thing, especially like, you know, when you're a kid and you have just like those traumatic experiences, and you're like, I'm done with that. That's too scary. You know, but you know, years later, you know, there I am in New York City with my stage play, completely exhausted, and it's you know, a dream come true, and I was just like, just don't forget your lines, Sarah. Don't pull a Sherlock Holmes. Do not pull a Sherlock Holmes, and so, you know, it was just like one of those full circle kind of things. Unfortunately, I didn't need, you know, one of my fellow students to prompt me with the line. You know, it was okay.
And I'm sure they would have if you needed it, and it would have been fine. That's the other thing too, I feel like is a good point. For public speaking, I remember a student who froze because she realized she was saying and a lot. Once she acknowledged it, it made it 1,000 times worse, because she felt this invisible pressure. But it's like, it's okay. People want you to do well. And if you mess up, or if you have a typo, like whichever medium you're communicating through, like, it's okay. We're all real people, and we're flawed, and we know it. So 100%. Like, it's fine. Nobody expects you to be perfect. That's kind of annoying.
Yeah. True.
You know, like there's beauty and a lot of charm in our little mess ups. That doesn't mean don't try. I mean, you want it to be really, really good, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
This is what I've been telling myself as a how to fascinate and diagnose perfectionist. I tell myself those things a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have a perfectionist quality to myself as well, but one thing that I love to do is I actually like to put mistakes in every single one of my projects. So it's kind of like, you know, making the rugs, I think, is it in India? I don't know if this is just an old wives' tale, but that there's an intentional mistake made into the intricate rugs in order to kind of humble oneself, I think.
Ooh, I
may be getting this story entirely wrong.
I like it, though. I like it. I think it's good. But, every one of my launch emails has had a little typo. And I'm like, man, I hate a typo, but at the same time, you know, the perfectionist thing, my other piece and my counterbalance to that is I'm first to tell you I'm not perfect, and I'm not trying to be. I just want to do the best I can, which manifests itself in a bit of a perfectionist tendency. Yeah. But, like, I know I'm not. And so I'm like, it's cool. Like, my GPA in undergrad was literally a 3.97 something, because I had one B my first semester in microeconomics, and it was on the bubble. I couldn't even look at what I made on the final because I knew it was so close. But I was like, hey, that B kind of took the pressure off for the rest of my experience, and that was cool. I was glad to get it out of the way. And then I did the rest of the time, you know, knocked it out of the park. But so there's beauty in the imperfection. Yeah.
So I think it's like, you know, to take away from that, from what we're talking about right now, is that thing of like being okay with those mistakes, and you never know where those mistakes can lead you to, you know. And I say this to a friend of mine who's dyslexic, who has issues with writing, and I'm just like, just write it, because it's just the doing of it. Like, you know, for writing, like, you know, one thing that I keep going through my head is it's about volume. So, you know, there's a thing where like about 10% of what you write is extraordinary, and the rest of it, toss it, you know. I mean, I think it varies from person to person, but it's just about doing it. It's facing the blank page, facing your fears, and just starting, right? Yes. Which leads me to, speaking of just doing it and just starting, I would love for you to tell people about this, you know, amazing adventure that you're about to undertake in your brand new program, which I'm very, very excited about. So if you could tell the people what you're about to do, I'm just so inspired and excited about it. And yeah, take it away.
Me too. It gives me like chilly. I get these jitters and chills, like when something big's about to happen. And like all day long yesterday, I had them, because I feel like this is a big thing. I feel like this isn't, and I've said this in my emails to them too, like, this isn't just a course. This is my calling. I was created to share this message. And the message is the whole idea of smart, authentic communication. So my course is called A Course About Copy. Just super straightforward. Copy as in the words you use on your website. So write your site, attract your dream clients, enjoy the process. So I'm taking everything I learned, you know, in my formal education and in my college teaching experience, and combining that with the last 10 months of my life where I've been working with, counting the free sessions, over 200 entrepreneurs from all over the place, from all different, you know, stylists and doctors and designers and developers and actors and directors. I mean, copywriters. Like, I've worked with a whole beautiful variety of people. But instantly, from month one, I saw this pattern of these are the things that people are struggling with. And no matter what business they're in, like, this is what people are getting stuck on. And so I realized, like, there's not just one right way to write an about page. There's not just one right way to write a sales page. Communication is a social science. It's not an exact science. But if you don't consider yourself a writer, if you're not really comfortable with writing, that's freaking overwhelming. And you're like, where do I start? You know, like, someone who loves writing is like, where do I start? You know, I could write, let me try this way, you know. Yeah. But for everybody else, dude, I don't have time for that. I have a business to run, you know. And so my ideal dream students, as I'm calling them, really value writing it themselves, because I know there are a lot of really lovely and talented copywriters out there who can make it sound like you, and they're really good at that. But that's not my dream. Students don't want someone else to write it for them. They want to write it themselves because they know, A, they can save a lot of money over time, and B, like, they don't want to have to hire somebody every time they need to communicate their message. Like, I want to help people be their own best spokespeople person. And so that's why I get so excited about it, because I have developed over time, like, these tips and tricks and recipes, and everything I do is just because it makes sense. It's from the how and why we communicate the way we do. It's not because of a conversion rate and a percentage, and if you put it right here, and that's fine and valuable. Of course, we all want conversion, but that's not my thing. That's not my specialty. So I'm not even trying to be like, define your market. Like, that's not the terms I speak in, because that's not how I think. That's not how I've built my business to this point, where honestly, by the end of this week, I'm pretty confident I will have hit 6 figures in my first 11 months of business. That's not how I did that. How I did that was just communicating in a smart, authentic way that made sense to help people realize the value I have and why they would want it or need it. Yeah. And so that's what I want to help people do. I'm literally just breaking it down. Like, the first week is all about the basics of writing for dream clients in your wardrobe, you know, to play with my communication stylist analogy. Like, these are the essentials that you've got to have for all seasons. You know, this is what you want to really invest your time in. Yeah. And then we're just going to get, like, super practical tips. Okay, here's my about page recipe, which is available for free through my free training videos. But the about page recipe, the one sentence, how to say what you do in one sentence, and that spawns all kinds of things. But basically, I just want to make it, like, not so dang hard, actually enjoyable, because the community of people I attract is freaking amazing. Yeah. They're so positive and enthusiastic, especially this group, because they're like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to write my own stuff, and I can't wait to take, like, it's basically just taking all the overwhelm and the possibility and just really focusing your magical energy to be like, okay, cool, because you already know your value. You already know who needs it. You just need to know how to share it in a smart, authentic way. Could talk about it forever. I love this stuff. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
well, you know, and it's funny, you were saying before that it's great for people who don't consider themselves writers, but, you know, for me, I am a writer. Yeah. But at the same time, it's a different kind of writing that I do. So, you know, translating that into the business world, it's a different mindset, and it's a different way of wrapping yourself around, you know, how to be an effective communicator, because it's a different, you know, I don't have, when I'm writing for my website, you know, I don't have the advantage of what my language is becoming, because it's not just words. It's also, all my words are related to visuals. Yeah. It's all related to performance and, you know, music and editing and all those other things. So just making words, like, about the words was really helpful, and really, like, brought me back to, or not even brought me back, but it made me see things in a different way. So, you know, it's for a variety of people.
It really is. Because, again, I've worked with copywriters. You know, I've worked with, and a lot of people, and it's like, yeah, I do actually consider myself a great writer, but I just need to learn how to be more concise, you know, and shrink it down and really trim it. Or maybe I don't consider myself, like, there's already in just the first 25 people who have signed up, there's already such a really cool variety. But that common thread is that, like, I know I'm supposed to be the one communicating with my audience, and I want to reach them in a really smart, authentic way that feels good, like a comfy, cozy, woobie blanket. I want to be me. I want to be able to be me and have people love me for it. What a novel concept, but that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny, you know, for anyone who is thinking about signing up with you, like, you know, what I love about what you do is it's not just about the words. You know, people who walk away from working with you, they are, what I get from them is just this a stronger sense of being okay with all that makes them up. And like, you know, it's like there's something deeper in the work that you do that makes people go, wow, I can just be myself. Really? Like, it is very empowering for people. So I think amazing. Like, you know, it's a big deal.
It's amazing. That's the biggest blessing. It almost feels like a ministry of sorts because I'm like, sister, you're enough, you know?
Preach
like,
it.
Seriously, I feel like, wow, that's the heart of it. I'm not telling you, who am I to give you permission to be yourself? You don't need it. But sometimes you do just need to hear it from somebody else. Yeah. And so that's like my message from the mountaintop is like, you are enough. You are cool enough. You are funny enough. You don't even have to be funny. You could be super straightforward and literal. And however you are, people are going to love that. And that's how you have to be, because then otherwise you have to pretend to be someone you're not when you're actually meeting with those people and delivering those services and products. And that's like, what? That's not fun, you know? Yeah. But it's a lot of fun to show up exactly as you are and have Sarah say, yeah, I want to work with you for that. And then, you know, going into it, you can have so much confidence because you know they already know who you are. And they said, yes, I want that. And that is an amazing, amazing feeling.
Exactly. So, now for anyone who's watching this and you're like, wow, this sounds great. How do I get started? Or like, I just would like to learn a little bit more, or like, can I get a free taste of this? Or like, what's, you know, they're curious and would like to see what this party is all about. Yes. You know, I know that you have a fantastic, freemium out there. And I'm about to drop my own 3-part video training series for free myself.
The way to go.
I know it's a lot of fun, and I'm curious if you could tell people a little bit about what they can get for signing up to your list and how awesome it is.
Yes, so I call it the Inner Circle because when I started dreaming up this course, which was back in like October of 2013, I first put it out there. I was like, okay, it's coming. I don't know when, but something. So it's just for people who are interested in it. But now I actually do have this free training series. It's 3 videos. I'm going to leave it up even after registration closes for this first round of A Course About Copy, just because it's helpful for people. So why not? Awesome. But the first video is really just the basic 3 steps of how I built this crazy momentum without obsessing over SEO and conversion rates and opt-in like locations and split testing and all that stuff that makes it sound really intimidating and hard and like complicated, and it doesn't have to be. So I break 3 easy steps to how to attract plenty of dream clients without feeling like a manipulative cheese ball.
Awesome.
And then the second video.
And by the way, I hate feeling like a manipulative cheese ball. It's the worst feeling.
Nobody wants to be that way, but if you put too much thought into it, you're gonna feel like one. Yeah. You know, if you put too much calculation into it and not enough of you into it, you will feel that way. So, and then the second one are like my 6 simple tips for writing your own great copy. And then the third, so we get more and more specific, and the third one is the About Page recipe. And I'm so blown away, because as of yesterday when we're filming this, over 1,000 people now are in the Inner Circle, which was 46 people in December. Like just a few months ago, it was 46 people who had signed up in October. Wow. Now there are over 1,000 people.
Oh my God.
It's
High five, sister.
It's about to be bigger than my VIP list, like than my actual list.
That's amazing.
First of all, that speaks to the power of putting out good freemium content, because that's what people are getting, serious results from these videos. And that's amazing. Of course, I hope that they realize this is just the tip of the iceberg and they join me for A Course About Copy. Yeah. But either way, it feels amazing just to have it out there and to be helping people and saving the world one embarrassing about page at a time.
Love it.
Like it's a blessing to enable people to share their value with the people who need it in a smart, authentic way. That's an awesome mission, and I'm totally driven by it. Like, and that's what this course, I will do more courses in the future on different aspects of communication and business, but this feels right to be leading the way with A Course About Copy and just to helping people, you know, write their site and not like feel awful about it.
Yeah. Well, that's absolutely fantastic. And I do have your freemium, and it's Beautiful. It's fabulous. It's so great
Yeah.
and helpful and amazing. So I highly, highly recommend that people get in on that. So yeah, so they can sign up for it at acourseaboutcopy.com, right?
Yep.
Love it.
That's the one.
Yay. Okay, well, I'm so excited. Thank you for sharing everything that you're up to, because that's just really inspiring for people, and definitely a message to like express yourself and to go for it, you know, just like kind of go for your life. And I think that's really, really, really super cool. And if you're game, next up I'd like to do something that I'd like to call the Express Yourself Speed Round.
Okay.
Are you game?
Ding ding. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask you some questions, and don't think too hard on it. Just kind of give me the first answer that comes your way.
Okay.
Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first of all, what is your favorite word?
Happy.
What is your least favorite word?
Hate.
What is your favorite sound?
That would be my husband and my son laughing, tickling, and wrestling.
And what is your least favorite sound?
My son when he's hurt, like actually crying for real and not just pretending. Yeah, like when he's really upset about something.
And the last question for you is, what makes you shine?
My faith.
Oh, very cool. Okay, that's it for the Express Yourself Speed Round. Awesome. Way to go, lady.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. So before we head off, I want to leave people with some fancy pants actions that they can take. So today, in honor of everything that you're up to right now, I would love for you to give them their call to action today.
All right. Yes, so I love homework. That's one of the things that makes me so nerdy. I was thinking about that. I really do love homework. I love to give it, and I love to do it. So the homework for today is the same homework you'll see when you sign up for video 1. But the basics of really communicating your message in a smart, authentic way, you've got to know your value. Mm-hmm. So number 1, tell us what's your value. Like, what is that unique thing that you feel called and created to share with people? Know your value. What's your value? Number 2 is know who needs it most. So who needs it? Like, who do you want to share it with in whatever way you're sharing it, whether it's your audience or your clients or your customers or whatever it is. So number 1, know your value. Number 2, know who needs it. So tell us who needs it, who you've got to share it with. And then number 3, which is the part that I love to help people with, is what's your biggest struggle when it comes to sharing that value with those people in a smart, authentic way? Because that's the most important part. You could have a really amazing value. You could know who needs it. But unless you know how to tell them that you've got that value, then you're stuck in a land of frustration, and they don't get to experience the amazing thing that you have to offer. So what's your biggest struggle in communicating it?
Love it. Love it. Okay, so, all right, you heard it here, people. Nikki Elledge Brown is giving you some homework to do. Yeah. And she's a teacher on this one. She'll come with her ruler and just get you if you don't do it. So be sure to do that homework and leave a comment below and let us know, like, those 3 things. I think they're amazing. Yeah?
Yeah, I can't wait to read them. I will be coming back.
She's going to, yeah, she's got you. Beautiful. So let's kind of wrap this thing up. This has been absolutely wonderful chatting with you. And, you know, I don't know if it's not really a secret for me, but maybe it's for you. But you're definitely one of my heroes out there. I'm really, really excited to see everything that you've done. It's really inspiring, and you're kind of like a superhero. You know, a little bit of like Wonder Woman, kind of like, you know, just awesome and doing your thing out there. So very, very excited to have you on board today. So thank you.
I'm so honored to be part of this maiden voyage for you. Like, this is really exciting to be part of this series. So thank you for inviting me.
Beautiful. Yay. Well, my pleasure. And is there anything else that you'd like to say before we sign off?
No, I think we covered it. That was a lot of words. I think there's some good ones in there. Hopefully it's helpful.
Beautiful. Okay. All right. Well, then this is Sarah Michelle Brown, your virtual video director. And I just want to thank Nikki Elledge Brown, the communication stylist, for joining us today. And I just want to say, go forth, do that homework, and express yourself. This is the main thing is I really want you to start to express yourself. And I'm really, really excited for the journey that you are on. So until next time, this is Sarah Michelle Brown signing off. And I just want to say, dream up.